Me, I knew that guy was here. I can see that.
Yeah, learning slowly as we go. There's only about the 400th webinar I've done. Um, yeah, so we're talking about your books. This is how to get paid more and more often. What which book is your favorite besides the forthcoming book?
Well, the two that really, well, three were monstrous, but the two that were the most important were Psychology of Persuasion. That was the first one. That was the one that was published by Zig Ziglar's publisher down in Gretna, Louisiana. They took a chance on me. They laughed at me basically when I submitted my proposal to them. 248 people had already said no. 248 companies, but yeah, seriously, Dr. Calhoun, he said, "Well, son," he says, "we'll just give you a try." And I said, "Well, do you think I could get in advance?" He says, "Did anybody else offer you in advance?" And I said, "Well, no." He says, "Well, son, you're not going to get in advance from me either." But he gave me the deal, and so we ended up doing okay with that book worldwide. And then about a decade later, Matt Holt over at actually, you got time? You got 30 seconds for a cool story?
Of course.
30 seconds for a cool story. I don't think anybody knows this. Penguin Publishing, who I don't like, Penguin called me up on the phone in 2003, and they said, "Hey, we would love to publish your next book." And I said, "Hey, that would be cool." So I went to New York, met with them, went down there, met with editor A. Editor A loved me. Editor B did not love me. They gave the book deal. They didn't want, so editor B, her rule decided, and so they didn't like me, and they gave the book to a gal who was a very nice girl, I'm sure, and she got her book published, and they didn't sell any. They went to the remainder rack right away. Meanwhile, the book that I had proposed to them was Science of Influence, was eventually what, the eighth most downloaded book on planet Earth in 2010.
Mm, well,
So Matt Holt picked that up over at Wiley Publishing, and that's that book, and that's a pretty doggone decent one, David, and it's done okay for me. So I'm pretty proud of them. I'm proud of them all, but those two in particular.
well, that's awesome. But you've got something else coming, and it's called Invisible Influence. That'll be out in a month or two, right?
Yeah, this is the best book I've ever written. There's nothing to compete with this. I've been working because I got a little bit under the weather the last couple of years. I had a little extra time on my hands, so I put together Invisible Influence, and I'm pleased with how this one has turned out. This will be out in about month and a half, and people that get this will be very pleased that they did. It's pretty special. It's pretty special, and so keep it on your shopping list. It'll be something that's worth having.
Yeah, and I guess in a way we're going to preview an application of this book, a way to apply it for copywriters who want to get paid more and paid more frequently. Let me grab the mic for a second, and because I have something I want to talk to everyone on the call and everyone watching the replay, because it's important. There's something in the copywriter culture that goes like this. Many copywriters believe clients suck.
Okay.
But not just some clients, all clients. All
Oh,
clients suck. And not just some of the time, but all clients suck all the time. And
wow.
if you guys are listening or watching, this is you, listen up. What if, just suppose that could change, you know? What if it wasn't your clients that sucked? What if it was you? Not that you sucked, but maybe you're missing some information because maybe you don't know how to work with them so they don't suck. But maybe there is a way. Is that possible? Here's how to find out right now. I'm going to give you a quick mindset test. It's only 2 questions, pass, fail. Number 1, do you have a management labor attitude? Are they the big bad boss and you the little beleaguered worker? Or do you see yourself as a potentially an equal partner? Interesting question, right? Huh? And then, are you stomping around like an angry teenager, telling everyone you're the grown-up but behaving differently? If so, here's the advice. Let it go. Because something like that might have worked in the past, but those days are over. It's no longer. Okay? So welcome to the era of the copywriter as entrepreneur. Now, if you think that this is just a fancy new theory that I'm making up or Kevin's making up, I'm going to tell you, I know a guy named Jimmy Curley. He's a copywriter, sort of humble, hardworking, aw shucks kind of Midwestern guy, and he has that attitude, and his client decided to make him a partner, not one, but two multi-million-dollar companies. And another friend of mine, David Deutsch, works with the mindset of being an entrepreneur. He isn't literally a partner in companies, but he'll go way above and beyond to help his project succeed. And last time I checked, he had about 6 controls running for boardrooms. So this is a different mindset and different rules. And Kevin has a whole bunch of things we're going to go through in our brief time together today to tell you how to do this and what to do. There's some things you've heard, some things you haven't heard, some brand new things, and maybe you can look at some things you know in a new way as well. So Kevin, let's get started with what copywriters don't know that they don't even know. Okay?
Good shot. I'm glad that's not me. Is it? See, I can't see that well. Is it me? That's not me. No.
No, it's not you. Well, the thing is, it's always you, but it's not your fault.
Okay, good.
Okay,
well,
so you're talking about, when we were preparing for this, the connection the business owner has with his or her product, business, and you know how copywriters often just gloss over that. Right?
Oh, sure. Well, sure. A few things. I mean, first of all, I've had a small business, a publishing company of our own here for what, 21 years now. 21. It just turned legal age, can go get drunk on its own, and that's pretty old. Boy, I tell you, it's a lot of years. And I've hired copywriters over the years. I write most of my own copy today, almost all of it. In fact, I'm trying to think, like, is it all of it? I think it's all of it, because my experiences with copywriters haven't been very impressive, with a couple of exceptions. And if you want to talk about the exceptions later on, feel free to ask. But if I can just kind of give you, if I'm thinking about you guys as copywriters, I mean, I write copy too. I've got $1 million copy that I've written for myself. I've done a few pieces for a couple other people, but not like you guys. I mean, you know, I'm not out there writing every day for somebody else. I think that's hard work if you're going to do it right. And if you're going to do it easy, it's easy, but it doesn't pay. So I'd rather work hard and get paid a lot of money. I've got several pieces of copy that have generated far in excess of $1 million for myself, but I also have copy that's totally pathetic and totally failed completely, which is what you would expect. When I went to Italy about, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, to meet with Fortis Meese Pearson. They were the 7th largest private bank at the time. I was doing some consulting work, can't tell you about all that. But one of the things they did is, while I was there, is I got to go meet Mr. Ronchi over at Maserati up in Bologna. And Mr. Ronchi was a pretty sharp dude, and he brought me into the sales office with my sponsor, the one guy who was there. Like, this is one of the reasons that Kevin Hogan's in Italy, is because you can pay me a certain amount of cash, but to fly all the way to Italy does not excite me. So, but hey, Kev, how'd you like to be a VIP and go see Maserati? Well, it's like, that'd be okay. And how would you like to meet the sales manager? Sales manager of Maserati? That would be cool. So he sat me down and he showed me where his client was on a 3-dimensional cube. And I thought that was cool. And he said, Kev, he said, if you buy BMWs, there is 0 chance you'll ever buy a Maserati. And he explained to me why. And he says, if you buy a Porsche, the chances of you buying a Maserati are very small. Explained why. If you buy a Jaguar, you'll never end up in a Maserati. Explained to me why. I had no idea. And then he explained to me the man who buys a Maserati. Women do not buy Maseratis. He explained precisely who this guy was. And I mean, he was compellingly passionate about this guy fulfilling his needs. A lot of status needs in there. We'll talk a little bit, if you want, later on about that too. But it was very interesting because he made something really crystal clear, which is about sales and marketing and advertising copy, because he was in charge of approving or not approving all of Maserati's copy. And I don't know if you know or not, but like, one of the cars I sat in the showroom there when he brought me around, it was a 250,000 euros, which is $400,000. Yeah, and I said, well, how am I going to get it to my house? He says, we will fly it there. And I thought, Good. And you've always said something like, if you can just add value in the moment, people are going to start making some money. Well, I'm telling you, it was really hard for me to say no. The fact is, if I would have ever owned anything nicer than a Honda Accord, I probably would have bought the thing, because it's
Oh,
like they had.
okay. But bring this into what does a copywriter need to do when they're trying to get a client that relates to that?
Okay, well, first of all, you've got to get the essence of what the, in this case, the Maserati. But like, say you're selling a Maserati or whatever it is you're selling, it could be, a golf instructional program, or maybe you're selling it could be, I mean, whatever it is you sell for somebody else. You want to find out from the creator of that. You got to talk to the creator. You got to talk to the guy whose it is, who made it. And you got to find out, like, what does it mean to him? And I don't mean like, hey, this is $1 million. I don't write another book because I want to make another $1 million. That's not why you write a book. I write a book because I want to keep my audience ahead, so far ahead of Cialdini's audience, so far ahead of Lacani's audience, so far ahead of Monaco's audience. I want my audience to be like way ahead. I get bored with the same old stuff. If I had to teach the
Okay, and let me rudely interrupt you. So if someone's going to be, just hypothetically, writing for you and they don't find that out, what's the point? Even if they sell a bunch, you're going to feel like you're just not and they don't, right? People don't even find out what is the business owner's emotional connection. You're saying that's very important, and obviously it works. Now, you said that copywriters have a credibility problem, including $1 million copywriters, including me, including anyone you can mention. What did you mean by that? That was a really good point.
Well, copywriters face huge credibility problems, and thankfully, all copywriters do, including me, including you, and we all do. So do all salespeople and marketers and everyone that's not judged by appearance. So we, on the other side, as business owners, we've got no idea how well you write copy. And by that, I mean, do you care about my business? Do you understand my product? Do you really get it, why I made it? And then, do you ask me those questions? Because if you didn't ask me those questions and you wanted a gig for me, you wanted to, like, me to hire you to write copy for you, there's a 0.0% chance I would hire. I mean, just none. It's clear that if you come up to me and you say, hey, Kev, I could sell your whatever program or, upcoming boot camp, and all you got to do is pay me $25,000 or $5,000 or $500, I wouldn't even sit down and talk to the guy. I get this offer all the time because there's no credibility. And so you have to develop credibility to even get to sit down with somebody who's either in advertising management or the owner of the company or the C-level person that you're going to talk to. So we're pretty sure that most copywriters, and as a business owner, they don't really A, care, and B, that they're only the norm copywriting. In other words, they got the swipe files, they're really good at what they do. But the thing is, there's a lot of really good people who can write a lot of good copy out there, but none of them have credibility as far as actually being able to put the sizzle into the steak, which is the hardest thing to do.
And the sizzle is basically getting to know you and know what you care about. Now, one thing I promised in the promotion for this thing is the two-step process, that you would reveal a two-step process that takes somebody from being a hack or a machine or a vendor that somebody's uses their services to being seen maybe not as an equal partner, maybe not as an invested partner in the business, but as an entrepreneur, as someone who would be respected. I loved that idea. I thought it was highly adventurous, maybe a little risky, but it could really pay off well with the right client. Could you explain it real briefly?
Sure. The smartest way for somebody to get a deal, a copywriting deal from pretty much anybody, whether doesn't matter who, it is a two-step. It's you're going to write your first piece of copy probably for nothing up front. And here's the deal, guys. It really doesn't matter because that's the same thing as anybody in business. You're in business. You're an entrepreneur. So it really doesn't make any difference if you're going to write for free, so to speak, or whether or not you. Here's the thing. As an entrepreneur, you pay yourself one time a year, December 31. That's it. That's all you care about. But you're going to get a two-piece deal. And so what you want to do is, and here's why you do it like this. I got to kind of get up, because this is kind of cool the way if you really think about it. You want to write copy for me. Let's just say me. I've got a few products, 121 or 122 products in the store at kevinhogan.com. Say that you want to sell these products for me, and say that you'd like to write 121 pieces of copy. So I listen to you. You say, oh, Kev, I'd like to write one for that program over there. I'd like you to pay me $10,000. The answer is no. I don't even care. I don't want to see your portfolio. I got nothing. You have no investment, no nothing in me. So now you say, hey, Kev, I tell you what, let me rephrase the offer. I would like to write 2 pieces of copy for you. I would like the first piece of copy that I write for you to cost you absolutely nothing, but I don't want to write it for you. I want to write it and then tweak it daily as I see the statistics come into your store and the where people are coming and arriving from, whether they're coming from Google clicks or whether they're coming from search engine results or if they're coming from people's links. So I specifically know who's coming into the store, onto that page, what percentage are converting. And here you are, you've been taught by David how to write copy. And that means you're good, because David's about as good a coach as it comes when it comes to copywriting on planet Earth. But here's the thing. Do you really understand all the stuff that you're doing to the point where you can say to the guy, I don't want to get paid until I'm making you money. I want to get paid a lot once I'm making you money. So now this means that you get to see that daily tweaking data. Okay, so it's like every day you see, oh, how much money we making yesterday? Well, we made $500. Dude, that ain't gonna cut it for me, man. We got to do a lot more than that. So you're gonna show me. You're gonna say, oh, you know what? This was the headline. This was the bullets. This was the offer. This was the guarantee. This is the picture of the girl at the bottom. Whatever it is, you've got to show me that, and then you got to say, I want to have free reign here to make some changes today, and tonight, and tomorrow morning, and the next day. So now the data means that you get to see live data about the sales. Don't ask me to pay you because you took up a day or two of my time. Then we sold $5,000 in a month. In my mind and anyone else, that's a disaster unless it's ClickBank, Autopilot type product or whatever. But once we hit a threshold of profiting after affiliate commissions, after product costs, after my time for creating the product, then we start adding up dollars. So a $100,000 sales letter, it's not really 100,000. I mean, it's 100,000 to like you, so you can say, "Hey, I wrote a $100,000 sales letter," but to me, it's not 100,000. It's a $30,000 sales letter because I only get paid 20 cents on the dollar for my company. The rest goes to everybody else, Uncle Sam and all the people who work and all that kind of stuff. So there is no 100 grand on this side. But once we're at 100,000 gross, that's about 30,000. That's a $30,000 letter in my mind now as a business owner. And so somebody says, oh, so I'd like a quarter. Really? Of what? Of 30 grand? And why? After all the time I took in hiring you? I don't think so. But, you can still justify it. You can say, well, Kev, we want to sell the first $50,000 of this product, and I don't want to charge you for that because basically I'm interning for.
Are we still on the first letter or the second letter?
We're on. Well, this is the letter, but we're on the second one now.
I mean, on the first product or the second product?
Well, listen to the possibility here, okay? Because it can go either way. So then once you've got 50 grand, 01, then you ask for 10% of all net sales after commissions starting at 50,001. And then once we've done that, you want 15% of net after you hit $100,000. Then you want 20% of net profits after you hit $250,000, and then you want 25% at $500,000. You structure it like this to me now. So you're just like, which one, Kev? Is it first or second? Doesn't matter. I would do it. You want to write the first one just to collect data. Just the fact that you get to go inside of Kevin's store and get
okay. So if there's anyone on this call who wants to do a deal like that with you, how do they reach you? I know that's not why we're doing this, but
no, the last thing I want to do is hire a copywriter right now.
Okay.
Send me a piece of copy and humor me if you want it, but I'm the wrong person.
Not you.
Seriously,
okay, but I
week,
get what you're saying. What you're saying is go in, say, it's at my risk as the copywriter, but it's not entirely at my risk. If I perform, there's going to be increasing rewards, and you'll know that I'm proven commodity and that I will stay with the project, and then the person could be making 6 figures a year off of those 2 letters eventually.
Oh my God, easily. I mean, if you've got a couple letters that are doing $250,000 a year, you're getting paid 20% on that. That's 50 grand. I think that's 50 grand. That's 50 grand a letter. That's 100 grand for 2 letters. You're putting a grand total of about an hour a day into it to make that kind of money. I mean, that's huge.
Or maybe less once you really get it rolling.
Well, that's
okay.
it. Once you're
so
once
so
you're
that's
tweaking,
let's move on because that's a great that's a great structure. Just something for people to play with, maybe to do it even a little differently. Let's talk about lowering resistance because a lot of copywriters do have an abrasive style. They think that that's the way they're supposed to be because they're a tough writer. But abrasive styles generally raise resistance. Your client is going to be resistant to paying you well, to treating you well, to seeing you as a partner. You say that you should lead with perceived authority. In a real short time, because we got so many slides, could you talk about perceived authority, what that is? We have a specific solution for that later, if you can just define it, please.
You're so good at making me move along.
Thank you.
So anyway,
Flattery will get you everywhere with me.
So perceived authority, you got to start somewhere. So you've been writing copy, you learned from David. Great. Okay. First of all, let's just say that you were David's mentee. Okay. Can you get David to write you a letter to say, you know, dear business owner, Joe here is an amazing copywriter. He will make your company more profitable. First of all, if you can get your mentor to write that on a piece of paper that you can put up there and show to me, and I actually recognize, and believe me, I do. I mean, I'm in the marketing business. Obviously, I know every single person out there. I know what they perform. I know what they don't perform. Yeah, that matters a lot. But I'm not the only one. I mean, everybody else who's in business out there online knows who the copywriters that perform are. They know the ones who end up getting fired from job after job that still have the big names. We know. So you want to get your mentor to give you a letter, and he won't do it. I mean, the mentor's not going to put his name on your back if you're going to go out and be terrible. That's where you start, is with the letter from the mentor. Then you want to get to the next step of perceived authority, which is you got to write a couple of letters for some people at no cost. And ideally, just real quick, you want to get to the person who has an audience but has been terrible with their copy and for their sales. So now you're getting somebody who actually has readership, and now you can actually show that person some results. And as soon as here's the deal, perceived authority changes to authority as soon as you turn the guy to profitability. As soon as you go from no profits to profitability, the easiest thing in the world is to get a check from somebody you've already gotten a check from. It's also the easiest thing to lose, but all you have to do is be consistently good, and you will get paid from the same person forever and ever and ever. I don't know how you've got the slides arranged and all this. Do you want to talk about that old guy here real quick?
Oh, the old guy who wrote the book that told
Or is that later on?
That's later, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so what you're saying then is really don't close clients, earn them. You know, that basically John Carlton, a real good buddy of mine, and we've done a lot of stuff together. He
good
says
guy.
You go through your shameless whoring phase. Of course, his language is always ultra uber colorful. Same thing, right? You're saying, okay, you got to give a little before you get a lot. And then getting an introduction from other clients, probably as long as they're not competitors to the people you're working with. When they're odd, there's in business, there's really no better way to make friends with somebody than to make money for them, right? I mean, that's sort of the name of the game. And then you have people like him and her just throwing money. It actually does happen. They do throw money at you when you make money for them. Let's talk about persuasion and communication skills. I learned a new word from you yesterday, 2 days ago, reactance. I believe it's a real word. Tell us what the difference is between resistance and reactance.
Well, super important difference. I'll give you the example first, and then I'll define it. Reactance is what happens in the person's mind as they're at somebody else's website or at Wikipedia or YouTube, and now they're going to go to the sales letter that you have on some other website, and they're in the process of going over there for some reason. And reactance is what the person feels on the digital trip over to your sales letter. So they haven't seen the sales letter. They don't know what it's going to say. They don't know what the message is. They don't know if it's BS. They don't know if it's real. They don't know if it's true. They don't know anything. Reactance is all about the fear of being manipulated or influenced to do something that would be in their least best interest. In other words, they're not going to want to do it. And so that's reactance. It's the same thing that happens when, hi, I'm Bill from down the street. Can I sell you this cleaner, make a donation to the Jehovah's Witness Foundation or this? Oh my God, that's reactance. I don't have to see the person to know that I don't want to talk to them when I get up off the couch, right? So that's reactance. So reactance is that resistance to the influence. It's a whole different thing than resistance to your message, which is your sales letter.
It's sort of like the baggage they're going to bring to the interaction before they know anything about you, just based on all the things that have happened to them before, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then you're talking about writing and speaking expectantly, and I wanted to make sure people knew expectant to mean you're expecting.
Oh boy, this is probably one of the biggest mistakes I see copywriters make is they don't write with any expectancy. People, think about this for a second. You go to a motivational seminar, and the guy at the front gets you charged up, and you get on Facebook and you say, you know what? I really believe in myself now. I know I can do it. I know I'm amazing. I know God gave me these gifts, and I'm the most wonderful person in the world, and I deserve to have success. And I was born to be rich, and that's a lot of garbage, and it doesn't work. It goes exactly against all of the programming that was plugged into you genetically and behaviorally. What you have to be able to do is say, David, listen, I'm heading over to the grocery store. I got to pick up a few things. I'll be back in 40, 45 minutes. Do you sit there and go, gosh, Kev, I know you can do it. I know you can pull it off. I know that you have the skills and ability to go to the grocery store and come back with the groceries 40 to 45 minutes later. It's so crazy. So we don't communicate with expectancy on anything except for going to the grocery store. Your communication must sound precisely like, hey, I'm going to the grocery store. I'll be back in 40, 45 minutes, and then we'll be able to watch Big Bang Theory then.
Yeah.
And then you just know you're going to watch Big Bang because Kevin said so, and what else would you do? That's writing expectantly, and if you can do that, and make that come across, all of a sudden you put yourself in the top 2% of all writers, because everybody has the same swipe files. We all got the same content, all that material, we've got it. You have an advantage in that you got David as a mentor, but you do need to write expectantly, and that's something that you've got to start thinking as you read your copy. Is it expectant? Are you saying it precisely as that person needs to hear it? Like they're going to the grocery store, they don't question it, they don't wonder about it, they don't think about it.
Absolutely. I call that believability, but you're talking about a very specific way of doing an expectancy. Yeah, it needs to be believable in the sense that it just seems like that would be true as opposed to a bunch of silly hype. Okay, so now you talk about the 16 core desires. I learned about these today. My mind is still spinning. You need to learn the 16. Here are 3 of them that you agreed to share. I know this is very proprietary material. People pay $10,000 to learn this kind of stuff from you. Obviously, they learn more than 16 words, but could you talk a little about these 3, curiosity, vengeance, and revenge, and belonging, and how they apply to a market and to a sale?
Sure. As information marketers, as you guys out there as copywriters, you guys are curiosity-aholics. I mean, you guys are always trying to find the next swipe file that's awesome. And the cool thing about that is that desire, that curiosity is never satiated. You can never have enough programs for copywriting, for example, in your house. You just can't. And as soon as you hear that somebody else has one, you always wonder, geez, I wonder if there's like something new. And you know what? Almost everybody does have something new. So you got to go buy it, and you got to put it in, and you go, oh, that's pretty good too. And it sort of feeds your hunger. The desire for the drive of curiosity is a powerful driver that you have right now. Now, imagine that you're selling to a customer. If what your product that you're representing, that you're writing copy for, has something to do with curiosity, like do they want to have that, okay, like for the purpose of learning that information. Now you know that you know roughly how to sell that in a way that you'd never have before. They have the drive for curiosity, so you can
because you know that they're literally itching to find out what the hell is in it, and you can play on that. You can play on that desire, right?
David, for years you've wondered, is there anything other than what I've been taught? It drives you insane at night. You go to bed wondering, God, I bet you there's something else, and that's why that guy is making money.
Stop, it's working.
See, that's how you use curiosity. Vengeance and revenge is another.
But can I talk about the flip side of that? Because
sure.
So we're curious, and we tend to project. We tend to think, well, hey, everyone's curious. I mean, all my copywriter friends are curious. My kids are curious. My wife is curious. My answer, right? No. There are some markets that are not the least bit curious.
Yeah, most of them.
Right, most of them. So
the guy who drives Maserati does not have a curious mind.
He doesn't really want to know what's the difference between a Maserati and a BMW and a Porsche, right?
No, he doesn't. Of these 3 core desires, he only has the middle one.
Vengeance. But vengeance is different than I thought when I first heard it. You told me something really fascinating about vengeance.
Vengeance is a really interesting driver of human behavior. It comes across in two ways in behavior. Either A, we tend to take revenge for the guy goes out and shoots the guy who took his girl, even though the girl left on her own, right? But the guy goes and shoots the guy. He might shoot the girl too, but he's going to shoot the guy. That's revenge, okay?
Right.
But vengeance, as it more often comes out in terms of buying behaviors, is people buy stuff to compete and take their revenge out in other ways. Okay, so like if I buy this product and I stick it on my shelf, it makes me look smarter. Or if I buy this product and it's going to help me compete and get my golf score one point. Yeah, there you go, Kev. Show how much you golf. One
Stroke. One stroke.
One stroke. Bless you. God bless you. One stroke lower. Yes, I haven't played golf. My grandfather was a professional golfer, and his name was Hogan. Isn't that terrible?
Was it Ben Hogan?
No, it was Charles. But
okay.
so anyway, but vengeance is huge.
No, but let me take this another word. Now I know you're not as big a fan or at all a fan of Apple like I've recently become. Thanks a lot to Brian McLeod, my partner in Fast Text Copy, who is on this call and sent me a nice comment about how much he likes it. But talking about Apple, there's no doubt that for a while they were taking over the world. So there are all of these people, and it looks like Woodstock 2012, and they're camped around the block to get the latest iPad or the latest iPhone. That's not nice, right? That's really vengeance. They may be talking about peace, love, and understanding, but they want to be better than those other sons of bitches who don't get it till the second day. Is that what you're saying?
That's absolutely right, and that's an enormous drive. And when you hook into that in your copy,
Yep.
and nobody's thinking about this, all your competitors out there, all you guys who are writing, nobody's thinking like this. They're just grabbing the stuff off the swipe file, filling in the holes, and hoping somebody's going to buy it from them. But this is what really sharp guys think. They go, oh, let's find out. It's just 16 things that drive people's behavior. That's it, no more, no less. And so once you get in there with this little piece of information, now you know how to sprinkle throughout your copy. There's specific words like, that we've got. This is the stuff you learn at boot camp, but there's specific words that people who are driven by vengeance that they just use in their everyday behavior.
What are they?
Like, I'll get even. Don't ever worry about it. I'll take care of it.
Or maybe like you picked the wrong guy to mess with, that kind of thing?
There was an old song, Baby Let's Play House. John Lennon stole a line out of there twice. George Harrison did once too. It says, I'd rather see you dead, little girl, than to be with another man.
Oh, I remember that song. Yeah, that's
right?
vengeance, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And
okay, so I want to tell you how dangerous what you're doing is.
By the way, women love vengeance.
One of my core desires is accountability and transparency. And Manju says, where can we learn the other 13? It's driving me insane, the curiosity effect. Manju, a grandmom from India.
Good. Excellent. Excellent.
So
let's go to belonging.
And we will answer that before the end of the show, right?
We will? Well, we'll see if we remember it or not. So belonging is really powerful too. People who are driven by belonging, if you can show that your product, service, whatever it is going to cause someone to belong to that culture, that group, that organization, and they're going to become important because they now belong. Yeah. This only about 5-6% of people are driven like this, but those who are the joiners, and I don't mean like my buddy Mark, but I mean like joiners, people who are joiners.
Yeah.
If you can show them how buying your product, if you have somebody who's a belonger, that group of people that's buying your stuff, if you can show them how
this is great. This is so good. I wrote a letter that made over $1 million on an upsell, and it was for a group, an industry that is full of people who have belonging as a top driver. It took me 3 months to get it because, as you can probably suss out, belonging is not one of my top things.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's just not. I am. So, and that was the network marketing industry. Wow. And learning that people are different from you as a copywriter, learning that people are different from you and learning how they are and learning that it's okay and you don't have to judge it and that, you can help them get what they want by appealing to that it's not pandering, that it's not bad, it's helping people get what they want. It's good, but it does take getting some of your assumptions and your ego out of the way a little bit. Wow. Great stuff, right?
It is, and as you start to get functionally useful at writing around people's drivers and just sort of hooking into them, you go from good to great fairly quickly. In usually a couple of weeks' time is all it takes to really get the concepts down.
Yeah, so this is a great edge. So just with what you've given us, people can identify those three. It makes you look like my reader.
You are. You already know. I think you and I went. I think you and I this afternoon, I was giving you a few examples. Like if I just talk to somebody, usually for a couple of minutes, I can tell you the exact way that you would describe yourself, the exact way that you describe the rest of the world. How could that be useful as a copywriter? Wouldn't you like to know, just for a second, like, why does the guy buy the golf game program?
Oh,
Why?
yeah,
Because he wants.
it's so useful. I mean, I spent 3 months trying to figure it out. I probably could have shortcut 2 months and 3 weeks out of it if I knew that. I even knew you then. Why didn't you tell me this? Oh,
Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I forgive you. So we were talking about creating authority.
Yeah.
Now, that's hard sometimes, especially in a field like copywriting, where now everybody's a copywriter. There are lots of people who say they're copywriters, but very few of them really convey authority. You have an idea that, and I've been in the publishing industry personally, professionally for 40 years. I've never heard this one. It sounds like things you guys listening that you've heard of before. Listen closely. It's not. Kev, please take the floor and tell the story.
Napoleon Hill, back in the early 1921, he was thinking about writing a book, and he wanted to write a book on wealth and all that, but he was not wealthy. He was completely broke. He was a Virginia hick, and he was a nice guy, smart guy. And so he went and he gambled, and he took a lot of time to meet Andrew Carnegie, and he asked Mr.
He was the
Carnegie.
richest man in the world at the time, right?
He absolutely was. One of the toughest. I mean, I'm telling you, this dude was a tough dude. Carnegie was no easy guy to get an audience with, and he was not the most well-loved person. And boy, they got the medals nowadays. But anyway, different story for a different time.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So Napoleon Hill goes in, meets with them for 5 minutes, sits down, says, Mr. Carnegie, I'd sure appreciate it. I want to write a book about wealthy people like yourself and show them how you got wealthy and how you became so good and how you're able to help so many people and employ so many people. And he says, well, okay, I will give you this. And so he wrote down a few people's names on the thing, Edison and Ford and Garfield and Rutherford Hayes. I think the guy was the...
Garfield, I like it. Some people call you Garfield by mistake.
Yeah, and Wilson, President Wilson, and so he gave him basically one letter of introduction to all of these people. Says, go ahead, tell Tom that I said to go ahead and give you a quick interview.
Thomas Edison, right?
That would be Edison, yeah, and Henry Ford, yeah. And so he did, and so Napoleon Hill was broke, walks in the door of all of these famous people, or rich people, or people in business who have done incredibly well. He interviews them all, finds the threads of commonality of what they have. He puts together a pretty good book called Use Your Noodle to Get the Caboodle.
Yeah.
And he calls his publisher, and the day before the book is due, he says, yeah, Use Your Noodle to Get the Caboodle is just about ready to go. Publisher says, sorry, not happening. That book will not sell, even in West Virginia. So the deal was so overnight he came up. He had a Paul McCartney moment. Came up with the book title Overnight, and he came up with Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill never told anybody that he knew how to get rich. He never told anybody that he was wealthy. He never told anybody that he had done it himself. What he did was he went out and interviewed the people who had done it. So he was the reporter. And when you're the reporter, you develop a new sense of credibility. You go out and interview people as a reporter, as the investigative journalist. You're now the Bob Woodward guy, and because that's what Napoleon Hill was. You ask the hard questions, you get the results, and then you put it together, and now you have your book. I tell you what, you can have all the ebooks in the world on your computer that you want. I always look at what's on the person's coffee table, what's on their desk. How many ebooks do you have on your desk? You got 0. Okay, so if you really want to be able to get a gig from Kevin Hogan, I bet you I get 1 or 2 copywriting offers a week. So send me your book. Okay, that's the first thing I want. And it doesn't have to be a book about how to write copy. It's just a book. It's a consultant's guide for entrepreneurs, for example. Okay, 12 ways that you can increase your business using simple tools and techniques that others have already done and gone ahead and before you and done. And then you put it together, you make sure it's the best information, so you're going to interview the best people. People are like, oh, but I don't know anybody. Do you know how? It is way easier than you think to get interviews with people. A lot easier. Just ask, okay? Put together your book summary, what you want, make sure, and boy, fulfill, or else you'll look like a real idiot. You get me or Dan or somebody on the telephone, and then you don't publish. That would be bad. But if you actually do it, you get it out there, and don't put a piece of garbage on somebody's desk. Put something good and tangible. I like hardcover, but soft is okay. And just, you want it out there, and you want it so the guy has it on his desk. Now you email him. So he's been considering copywriters, and let's see here. How many books about consulting and copywriting are here? None, except for John's over there. So I'll look at that, and John emails me. Trigger. It's obvious who I have to go with. He's got the credibility. He bought the credibility of Dan Kennedy or John Carlton or Vitali or one of the other really good copywriters. And he didn't say he was a great copywriter himself, but he has learned from the best, interviewed them all, and he synthesized the material, and now he's ready to work for you. And because saliency, that means the thing that's right in front of you at this moment is the most likely thing to be purchased, he's most likely to give you the deal because your book is sitting right there with the email coming in the email box at the same time. That's the Napoleon Hill style book. And then Napoleon Hill went on to write a couple more like that, and eventually he too became a millionaire. Quite wealthy, yeah, and did dandy fine in the end. But he was just honest at the front. That was the key point. He didn't try to BS anybody on who he was.
Awesome. That is such a great strategy. I hope everybody got that. Let's talk now about how you can get the other 13 drivers. What are they called? Core desires.
Right. Drivers of human behavior. 16 core desires. The Influence Bootcamp is 4 days. I've done it every year for a decade now. This is our 10th year anniversary. It is a pretty cool event. There's a million cool events though, so to speak. And you go down, you spend your $5,000, and then people sell you stuff from the back of the room. I hate all that kind of garbage. Yeah, it could be like that, except for it's not. So what we do that's a little bit different is I contact somebody like David Garfinkel, and I say, David, here's what I'm talking about for this week. I'm putting together, I'm going to show people how to write a model that's just amazing at persuading people, whether it's in writing copy, face-to-face, making presentations, video marketing, commercials, that kind of stuff. Because I get people from several different genres. People come, but I don't know more about coaching copywriters than David Garfinkel does. There's other people that have skills that I don't have. So I bring the best people in for specific skill sets and applications of influence. David is as good as it comes when it comes to, say, writing copy and teaching people how to write copy. Perhaps he's the best, actually, anywhere that I've ever seen as a coach of copywriters. Probably the best. So I bring people in you're welcome. Well, it's true. And I put these people together in the same room in a pretty structured Hitlerian environment. David, you're going to talk about.
Strict. I haven't seen anybody sent off to the showers, but yeah, you have some rules and you enforce them, and that's good. It's a good learning environment. Yep.
Everybody has to go home, and you know what, David? Here's the cool thing: is about every year we usually end up with 1 or 2 millionaires out of the people that have come. We either put somebody on television, we get them to be I mean, I've got a guy who we trained at boot camp 1 year, and the next year he was out there doing, he's now spoke before more people than I have. I've talked before a lot of people, but Al went out there and he talked before, he did 1 million people the year after he talked to me. Imagine if he made $2.50 a person or $3 a person. And another gal that was at the back of the room, homeless 1 year, we got her on, I can't say the name of the TV show. I don't have permission to tell the story. But basically, we got her on Tuesday nights on Fox, and she's now in front of 4.5 million people every Tuesday night on television. And it's just that, because you just learn how to apply stuff that nobody's ever taught you before. What David's scrolling through here is, this is our little manual for
little manual, 317 pages, yeah.
So far, right? Yeah, it's about, I don't know, this year it's about 600-something pages. And it's not the pages that matter, it's just the fact that every single page is loaded with content that you've never read anywhere else. And even that doesn't matter. It's really, how is it different and more useful than what you've learned in the past? I mean, after all, don't I only need to know reciprocity? Most people think that, except for that reciprocity, did you know that as each second passes from the reciprocal moment, that it reduces in effectiveness and for you? But here's the thing. Imagine that you've given your customer, they went and they opted in and they got a gift from you, right? And so you're thinking, boy, they should really reciprocate and give me business. Here's the deal. Every day that passes from the moment that you gave them something like a gift, every single day, their desire to return the favor to you reduces dramatically. Meanwhile, you believe that they should be doing business with you quicker and quicker. Ultimately, the goal is to get people to do business with you as rapidly as possible, because that gets reinforced.
You do have stuff about Hitler in there. Okay.
It's true. Yeah, we absolutely use some of Hitler's tools that, there's probably, 40 pages of just on propaganda tools that Hitler used. And then so did our president right now. I mean, there's some pretty cool stuff in here. So anyway, yeah, the manual will keep you busy for the rest of the year. That's for sure. Oh, there you go. Now you're at the core drivers. That's one, the desire for altruism. Everybody thinks altruism is like being a Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. It's got nothing to do with that. Okay, you know what? Let's just look here. I'll just show you guys an example of what you learn at boot camp. David, can you scroll down just about a third of a page there? I can actually almost see some of those letters. Hold. Guys, I went to the eye doctor today. I had that dilation thing, and I don't do well.
So I'm at idealistic, realistic. Is that what you want?
Yeah, exactly. So if you know that person's just out of college and they sort of got that idealistic thing going for them, and they're like always wanting to do what's best for the world, that's great. I mean, by the way, that's pretty wonderful. And these people, look right underneath the word idealistic, they believe themselves to be. Now hold on for a second. Go scroll back up a teeny bit for me so I can. They believe themselves. I want to show how to use this. They believe themselves to be caring people. They are. They believe themselves to be selfless. They are. They believe themselves to be humanitarians, giving and compassionate. How do we know this is true? Because Dr. Stephen Reese, who collected the research on this data, did all the correlational studies, actually had hundreds of words that people could choose who were already shown to have these behaviors on one end of a continuum or another. And so we know what words people use to describe themselves who behave this way, and we know what words they use to describe other people. Gosh, how would you like to be able to read somebody's mind? People always say, God, Kevin, you know me like a book. Well, I know, because I wrote it, and it's like, it's here. It's like that's what we do at boot camp. So anyway, so people who are idealists believe themselves to be, visionary and compassionate and giving people, and they look at other people and they think, God, that person is such a self-centered, heartless, insensitive, unfeeling jerk. And you know what? When I say, if you're one of those idealists and you go, oh my God, Kevin, that's exactly me. Or maybe you're like, yeah, Kev, boy, you know what, that was 20 years ago. I'm that realist guy right now. You're at the other end of the continuum. You're not the altruistic guy. You're the pragmatist. You're very practical, very real world, very sensible. You're always looking out for number one. You think inside, you wouldn't tell anybody that, but it's true. And by the way, it's good and smart to do that. You're very realistic. And over there on the other side of the equation, these people out there are idealists. They're a bunch of dreamers. They're meddlesome. They're unrealistic people. They have no clue what's going on in the real world. And now you're going, oh my God, that guy's me. Well,
and if you're trying to create a common enemy, if you're selling to idealistic people against the realistic people, there you go. If you're selling to realistic people against the tree huggers, there you go, right? I mean, it's all right there.
No thinking required. I put in questions for you even later in the manual, like down further on the page. For each one of the core drivers in the manual, we actually show you questions for it. So if you're in real estate, if you're copy selling real estate, or if you're selling advertising, or whatever it is you're selling, there's actually
there are some questions, yeah.
Questions that people can ask, and it's easily adaptable to every field that's out there. So it's pretty cool. So you can always, put it into whatever product you're selling. And this is just one example. I mean, I love talking about the core drivers. Could go for days on it, but this is something that's critical for understanding for boot camp. But it's more than that. You'll take it home and you'll have this forever. And the thing is when you look on the back of the manual and you see it costs $2,497 for the manual. It's real. You can't get this information. I won't let anybody have it for that. Now, that is, and by the way, now, can we jump over to, do we have an offer?
Sorry,
is there a cool offer page? It doesn't. The manual is amazing. It's really good. And plus we've got, well, I'm not even going to go over there further. But here's the deal, guys. If you go to, yeah, boy, I tell you, that thing is such a monster.
Yeah.
If you were to go to kevinhogan.com and then /influencebootcamp.htm, yeah, Scott Haines going.
Okay,
yeah.
Where is it?
We got a lot of people that go. You wouldn't believe it. Mark Victor Hansen showed up one year, and a lot of people. I mean, people just come because they're going to learn stuff there that nobody else teaches. Tony Robbins sent over 5 years ago. He sent over his sales manager to spy on us, and top two salespeople. One of the guys comes up at the end of the show. His name is Roberto. Actually, he's one of your
speakers this year, right?
He is. He absolutely is. And he says, Kevin, he says, I want to make Tony some more money so I can be the best speaker, or the best, of all of Tony's people. And so I had him run me through his presentation, and I said, okay, change this, do this, do this. And he looked at me like, God, I don't know if even Tony would approve that. I said, you know what? Just do it. He did it. The next year he came back. He says, I made $2 million extra sales because of that one change, and then now I'm the sales manager. And so Gene was gone, and Roberto was number one, and then Jason Cisneros, who's another amazing guy, was number two. So Tony would send people over to spy on us, not because Tony's not amazing. He's very influential. His work's very good. But remember, Tony's teaching the same stuff he taught in 1984, which is awesome material. But my thing is to teach the coolest, the newest, the best. And
yeah, you're constantly researching stuff, aren't you?
About 1,000 papers a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Let's see if I can. Really doing a great job with this. Let me see if I can get the dates before we get to. So it's March 13th, 16th in Las Vegas. Why don't we go to the webpage?
Sure, if you can get there, that'd be great. Yeah, March 13th through 16th. Aside from the fact that it's really nice weather and a beautiful time to be down there, and it's a lot of fun. It really is quite the experience. At the door, it's $5,000. Today, actually being the end of February 28th. There's our 10th anniversary thing. Let me show you one. Let me go to the top there. I'll just show people like the example of one of the things that we teach. If you guys look at that photo, it's not a good photo of me, but it has a specific purpose. We've tested this. You see those signals that people are making in the audience there? Look at that right there. Their hands. Now, most of you guys go, yeah, I've seen that before. I don't know what that means. What is it? What does that thing mean? I've seen that before. Is that not? That's not that hang loose thing that the Hawaiian guys do. What is that? What it is, it means I love you. Okay. Well, what is that all about? Well, that's what people do when I go up on stage. They do that. Why? Because it's just what they do. Here's the thing. You knew this from American Sign Language when you learned from when the deaf girl came to school that day when you were in high school and you learned elementary or junior high, you learn that. It's a priming tool. So now you know that people applaud really hard when Kevin comes up on stage and they say, I love you. That's a pretty important piece of information. You're like, yeah, but I didn't remember that. Doesn't matter if you remember it. All that matters is if your brain remembers it. Okay, so you sort of flit by here. Now, by the way, look at that headline real quick, too. See, it says, prevent another year from going by where you ask. I can't read. Can you read that, David?
Yeah.
I can't.
Prevent another year going by where you can't read it because your eyes are dilated from an eye appointment. You told me. Prevent another year going by where you ask for what you want and don't get it.
Right. This is a negative headline, and so when we start promotions, this is one of the things you'll learn at boot camp. For example, is that you always start your promotions out with positive headlining, but by the time you get closer to the date, the people who have been reading and been thinking about it. These are people who are procrastinators. Procrastinators they're just a pain in the butt to have them do the right thing and just like, come on, for crying out loud, get it together. You're going to be living in the same damn job you've had for 20 years. So you write your negative headline about what they're going to miss. And so your timing on this usually has to be about a month before an event or it's the last piece of a promo. And it tends to be quite effective. I mean, we've had registrations this week, very, very nice. But, that's why you do it. It tells the truth, and it's done correctly, it's framed perfectly, and it's right there above the people saying I love you. It's just a great combination. I'll show you how to do that kind of stuff at boot camp. So anyway, so our copy is here, and you can read the copy, but basically, as you scroll through, and if you hit something you want me to talk about, David, I will. But basically, $5,000 at the door, but it's $2,500. And I know this sounds weird, but our final discount expires today, and it's $2,500. You get all kinds of gifts, but the gifts don't matter. Gifts don't make any difference. All that matters is, will you be able to do your $100,000 or $200,000 or $500,000 next year if you want to?
I do have a question. This woman is making a strange gesture with her hand. What's that all about?
Yeah, because we used her in a framing article, and a lot of my people read that article. Those people turned the page more on her hand with her than any other second more than any other picture we've ever used. They turned, because I usually write 5, 6, 7, 8 page articles, and so they turn the page, they click with her, and she's just effective.
So it sounds like you're a big fan of testing. It sounds like you test everything.
If a guy didn't talk to me about that when he came, I wouldn't even think of hiring him. Yep. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, all this stuff is interesting to me. We actually test we live it in real time. Go back. Yeah, that gal up there. You should look at the picture and read the content next to it. That's an example of.
Which one?
There's a gal there in brown. You can kind of see that.
Is this further up?
No, it's south of here. It's like
Okay.
down number 7. And this is a good lesson too. So you're at number 2. Don't worry about it. I'm
Okay.
not in a hurry.
Okay. Let's see if we
Well, I'm
can.
more of a hurry than that.
I don't know. Here we go. 6, 7.
Oh, there's that
Reducing
one.
reactance,
Yep.
personal
Yes.
ten.
Now pause here.
Robert Monaco.
Just above him, there's a gal with a brown shirt on.
Yeah. The magician learned to take your attention from one thing and place it squarely on another. You are in a world filled with distractions. You are the chocolate bar. Through all the distractions, you must cause people's attention to fall on you. Don't worry. Very few people even notice she's holding the chocolate bar.
Correct.
Chocolate bar.
Nobody notices. You guys
Time?
are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go
You
ahead.
can stop right there because that is the point. The copy that you write got their attention. She got your attention. But for most copy, it only gets attention. It doesn't get conversion. And that's because you want people to convert on the chocolate bar. And this is, I'll show you the picture of boot camp that causes people to convert. But this is an attention, see what it's called? I can't read the thing, but I'm pretty sure this says like Kevin's favorite techniques or something like that.
Yeah,
Fairly close.
these are my favorite techniques. These include
Yeah,
the pieces of behavior I personally default to when my non-conscious is running the mind. There are
right.
also those that I remind myself to use when I really need someone to comply, and for some reason, 1 through 7 above didn't accomplish that goal. These
Yeah.
techniques are all tested and proven. Some are
And you'll
brand
learn
new, and
about 40 of them at boot camp. I would say really it's closer to 50, but I'll say 40. That way if I don't get 10, I'm good.
okay, so that's good. Uh, can I tell them about the 3 secret weapons
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
and all that stuff? Okay, so let's see if we can get this going. Okay, so let's see. Uh, why do you think Scott Haines? And Scott Haines, most people don't even know who Scott is, but he is like Gary Halbert's son. Say Scott writes more like Gary Halbert than any other copywriter alive. So that
Is
he
that
talked
right?
to Gary every day before Gary died. He's like a wealth of knowledge. I'm so glad I met him, and I'm so glad he's coming. March 13th and 16th in Vegas. Here's the guaranteed 3-part unbeatable advantage that Scott and I will have, and no one else in this call will have unless they join us. One, you're going to teach how to overcome reactance, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when people arrive at your page, they can't have that reactant feeling or they just click out. You got to stop that. I mean, it's just you cannot have it. And so reactance is critical.
Okay. And number 2 is you're going to people will know exactly how to speak and write expectantly because why?
Well, the problem that happens is people think, oh, I can just say those words like that, like I'm going to the grocery store, but it doesn't actually carry over into real life. It's not ideal like that. You can't fake that. So you actually have to sort of do a little sort of an ongoing exercise for a couple of weeks. Actually, requires a little bit of writing every single day for about 2 weeks. It's basically a rewriting personal history kind of an exercise. It was tested at Columbia and Stanford, and it works. And so we change you how to think expectantly.
Okay, that's pretty good. And third,
Without it, all the rest fails anyway.
yep. And third is omega strategies. This is fascinating to me. What are omega strategies?
Wow, Omega strategies are awesome. Nobody teaches about them. They are really sophisticated techniques, tactics and techniques. These are not strategies is really too wide of a word, but that's what Eric Knowles calls it. And he created them. So I'm not going to sit there and argue about the technical word, but really they're tactics to reduce. And a tactic is something you do right now to get a right now response. A strategy is like, okay, we're going into get bin Laden, and here's the beginning to the end process that we have to do. So Omega strategies are really sophisticated tactics and techniques. They reduce, remove, disrupt, distort. They sort of redirect a person's reactance or resistance, and we're able to use that. So we've got a bunch of different tools. We call them minimizing the request. There's another one called acknowledging inertia. You change comparison models. You acknowledge resistance. There's oh my goodness, there's probably 20 of these strategies. I'll give you a quick one, a real quick one. Like
Sure.
say that somebody was trying to think, gosh, should I buy this product or not? If you're writing a letter, and if you go into the store at kevinhogan.com or look at some of my event copy stuff, you'll see me write stuff like, you may not show up at boot camp, and frankly, I don't care. But if you don't show up at boot camp, what happens? Well, nothing happens to Kevin Hogan's life. What happens in your life? Well, you'll go make it, and you'll do exactly this year what you did last year, which is absolutely fine. Just don't complain to me about it next year, okay? So that's exactly what's going to happen. You're not going to die. Nothing evil's going to happen. You just may not be the person who was meant to be to get on that TV show or the next millionaire or the next 100,000aire or whatever. But here's the deal. You might come to Influence Bootcamp, perhaps, and you might actually just use the material like some people that you'll meet there that come back every year just because they want to say thank you. And you might actually have the story to tell in 2014 that they have this year from what happened last year. And now that's an Omega strategy, which is what we just did. I didn't develop this. Eric Knowles developed this. You take a person out and you move them into the future and you dissociate from it. It's pretty complex. Oh, I'm way over time here. But basically you dissociate back to the present, looking back as a very realistic possibility of something that could happen. It's not negative. It's just this is the most likely result if you don't go to boot camp. You're not going to die. But if you do go, what's the most likely result? Most likely result if you go to boot camp and do everything is you're going to make 50 grand or $100,000 next year, or you'll get the girl that you want, or you're just going to be good. It would be impossible not to be good. I mean, you have to be good. I would be stunned if you weren't, and you'd have to come back and tell me the following year that you weren't. So it'd make a lot more sense to tell a great story than a terrible, like, Kev, I didn't do a thing you told me to do. I decided to just sit on my butt and do nothing. Yeah, that's going to work real well. So an Omega strategy means that you show people the most likely response if a person doesn't do what you ask them to do. And then then you conclude with the most likely response if they do. You don't try to paint this bogus picture like you'll be a trillionaire and you'll own Donald Trump's stuff and you'll be able to make him a pawn at your every. I mean, you can write stuff like that and it's okay actually because it's sort of unbelievable and it's fine. But the reality is Omega strategies work when you give people two viable options for the future, realistic things that could happen. But the second one is the one that people are going to make their decision based on. If it's attractive without being too attractive, you can't BS people. You got to be honest with them. If it's not BSy, that's what they will do. And so that's how people make their decisions. And to use Omega strategies to overcome the resistance that was there, which is why it might be worth going to Influence Bootcamp. And I would love to see you there. It'd be a lot of fun. You're welcome to look at. You can find out all the gifts and all the stuff that's at that page right there. But basically, you go to change how you do business, to improve your life, to get the right girl, to get the right guy, that kind of stuff. That's what really matters in life. And also to be able to help some people and to make yourself, fulfill the dreams that you really always wanted. And everybody else made the pie in the sky stuff, and then we just made it come true here. David, thank you. I'm going to shut up and let you guys do your thing now.
Yeah, I mean, I got to run too. I've got something else scheduled in a few minutes, but I do want to point something out, is because many people will be saying, well, what does this have to do with copywriting, really? I mean, you haven't taught me any new headlines or any new page layouts or so forth. So I was not at Gary Bencivenga's Bencivenga 100, but a friend of mine told me that one of the thing that he said is, when you're a cop or when you're a boss, when you're a military commander, you can get people to do things by ordering them, by coercion, essentially, by sort of kind of coercion. You're in an official position. But when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a copywriter, there's only one tool that you have. And I'm paraphrasing here because I wasn't there. I didn't see it. But there's only one tool that you have, and that is influence. And then Gary apparently showed a lot of his influence techniques, but I bet he didn't show a lot of the things that you're going to show. And I'm not sure, because I also heard that his ideas were great for writing copy, but they didn't help nearly as much in terms of helping people get clients, because I've had some of the people who went there ask me for help on ideas on how to get clients. So I think that, both in terms of copywriting, in terms of getting paid more and getting paid more often, there is a direct benefit for copywriters. And as you mentioned, Kevin, there's all kinds of indirect benefits in life and business and everything between life and business, would you say?
Our friend Nate Brookshire was over in Iraq uh, 8 years ago, and he was bringing a battalion of troops through Fallujah, and he had been to Influence Boot Camp the year before, and Nate told all of his troops, while all of the enemy was aiming at them with their AK-47s and ARs, he told them all to remove, I don't remember the military term, but basically, put your weapons down. We're taking the city. That's what he told his troops. I kid you not. And they took
That's a show of
Fallujah.
strength, right?
Yes, absolutely. They took Fallujah without a shot being fired. No one was hurt, and they were completely exposed. Not one person was harmed in this battle. And Nate came back and he gave me a patch from his battalion, basically as a thank you that he didn't die that day with the guys that went through. And so influence isn't like just copywriting. It's not just military. Influence is getting what you want, but also saving your life in the meantime. It's pretty cool. Nate Brookshire, he'll probably be at boot camp. You can talk to him about it. It's pretty cool. It's way cooler to hear him tell the story than it is me to tell the story.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting him. I'll be there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. I know you got a busy schedule, and you did this with your eyes dilated. I appreciate your fitting it in. I know everyone on the call does, so we're going to wrap it up. But thanks again, and look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks, my friend.
Yeah, it'll be great. And thanks for having me here tonight. It was a lot of fun. And I will see you for real.
Yes, you will.
In 2 weeks.
With full focus. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Eyes wide open. Okay.
Take care, you guys.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
All righty. Bye-bye.